This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Jamie Glazov Moment. Tonight, the lies of Hijab Hoax girl. Ladies and gentlemen, you're probably aware by now of this big thing that happened recently with Kuala Noman, an 11-year-old Muslim girl who recently, caused this big storm, alleging that, this man came up to her with scissors. This is in Scarborough, Ontario. He came up with scissors and cut her hijab. And when she reported that this had happened, she's this grade 6 student in Scarborough, Ontario. When she reported that this happened, within 45 minutes, the CBC, this is the Canadian National News Network. I'm from Canada. I live in the States now. For those that don't know, the CBC, apart from being a communist network, best cure for insomnia. If you have a hard time getting to sleep, trust me, just watch the CBC. Personally, I never met a person that worked for the CBC that wasn't a communist, but that's another story. So within 45 minutes, the CBC is already reporting on this somehow. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, he's tweeting about this within the blink of an eye, that he's on the side of Kuala Noman. Nobody looked into it yet. There hadn't even been an investigation. The school even had a press conference about it. And, she was, saying that this man came up, not once but twice, with scissors cutting her hijab. Her brother's laughing in the background. I personally didn't even see a ripped hijab or a cut hijab. That's a little strange. But anyway, so, this is just the media's on top of it. The Canadian Prime Minister is weeping on Twitter. There's this press conference. Then the police start investigating it. All of a sudden, the police make an announcement that it never happened. So now we have another Muslim victim hoax crime. And this is a phenomena that's just escalating for those of you that are keeping an eye on what's going on. Now look, Ezra Levant, he's a real hero up in Canada. And, he leads Rebel Media. He just did a really powerful, very strong video on this, dissecting everything that happened. So, go to Rebel Media, look up Ezra Levant. It's one of his recent videos. He tells the whole story here. But here's just what I want to ask. Just a few questions. What if I went to Canada right now? Just start walking down Scarborough, in Scarborough, down a street, and I just announced that a Muslim man or a couple Muslims or whatever came up and maybe grabbed the cross off of me or assaulted me in some way or, ruined my clothing or something. Would the CBC be covering this in 45 minutes? Would Justin Trudeau be tweeting about it? Would there be a press conference of some kind? What if it was an 11-year-old Christian girl or an 11-year-old Jewish girl who said that a Muslim man had come and assaulted or violated them in some way in terms of maybe their clothing or some kind of religious symbolic thing that they were wearing? Would there be a press conference? Would the CBC be on top of it? Would Justin Trudeau be crying on Twitter? We know the answer to that question. This is a main area of research for me. I've dedicated a lot of my life to researching how terrorist and totalitarian movements utilize and employ victim status to gain power. Communists did it, the Nazis did it, the Islamic movement is doing it today. And, go to Robert Spencer's site, Jihad Watch, look up hoax, Muslim victim, hoax crimes, etc. And he's documented all of these. I mean, it's just one after the other. So the jihad, that's a component of Islam, is killing us, is abusing us, but simultaneously the Islamic movement is making itself the victim, and we have to constantly be apologizing. I don't know if you know, but the Huffington Post even announced that after we found out that this was all a lie, that we still owe this 11-year-old girl an apology. So somehow she's still a victim. Some more questions, and Ezra Levant is on top of this, of course, so I give him a lot of credit because he's starting a campaign over this and has raised some of these questions. But This girl has a different last name than her brother, than her mother. Everybody's got a last name. Her mother's got a niqab on. The young girl's wearing a hijab. Is this a polygamous family? And if it is, why isn't the media asking about the dynamics of what's happening in this family? Where does an 11-year-old girl get an idea to make up a story like this? There's a couple things going on here. Either somebody told her to do this, or maybe it's a cry for help. But shouldn't we be looking into this? And why isn't the media asking anything? Why isn't the Canadian media asking any questions about this? And this is why, as Ezra Levant is stressing, the mother should be investigated and charged. And Ezra Levant has started a petition on this. Go to hijabhoax.com, hijabhoax.com, and it's time for us to take a stand and demand that there's an investigation into this. Because look, there's a criminal code in Canada, and it's section 141C of the Criminal Code of Canada, and it's about public mischief. If somebody gets the police involved to investigate something, but they're doing this with the intent to mislead the police and it's not true, it's called public mischief. This is a crime. And so the question is, why isn't this girl, why isn't her mother, where's the investigation, where are the charges? Because again, if anybody else did this, if I did this, if I went to Scarborough tomorrow and said that I had been attacked and got the police involved and then said that it turns out I was lying, I would be charged. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to take a stand here, because what's happening is that this totalitarian movement, this Islamic supremacist movement, is attacking us with jihad. It's enforcing and infiltrating our society with Sharia law. And they are on this 24/7, and the left is helping them. The left is in league with them. And so painting themselves as victims while they're abusing us is part of their strategy, and it's very successful. And we got to take a stand against this totalitarian movement and what it's trying to do to our free society by utilizing this victim status. So one thing we can do right now, this is a turning point. If we're going to allow this, if we're going to allow these members of the Islamic supremacist movement to continue pretending that they are victims and creating all these hoax crimes and getting the police involved and then admitting that it's all not true and we don't do anything about it, that's a defeat for us, and a very significant defeat, because it's going to lead to a catastrophe. Take a stand and demand that the mother of this young girl is investigated and charged. This is public mischief. Go to Ezra Levant's petition at hijabhoax.com and demand that the police look into this further. And there's something else perhaps going on here. This girl might be crying out for help. Is this perhaps another Aqsa Parvez, the 16-year-old Canadian girl in Toronto that years back was murdered in an honor killing because she refused to wear the hijab? The CBC didn't say anything about her, really. It didn't take a stand for her. Justin Trudeau was nowhere at that time tweeting on her behalf, nor is he ever going to tweet about Aqsa Parvez today for her memory. But this girl might be crying out for help, and this case needs to be investigated. Go to hijabhoax.com, Ezra Levant's petition, demand something be done about this further. Thank you for watching. Good night.